Hey my friends, I'm Coral. Welcome back to my channel here today with the books that I ended up acquiring over March. I just can't even say anything about it at this point because it's like I was trying really hard to read more books than I bought this year and I have not been doing very fucking good with that at all. So here's my book haul that is too big. It's too big. This is unsustainable at this point. I mean, if you give it like 5 years, my house is going to be more books than house. Everything's sliding around and falling. My life is falling apart. Just kidding. Just the stuff on my bed here. So, where should I start? I guess with stuff over here. I ended up grabbing some sci-fi books that I have been dying to read and trying really hard to find because, you know, I like to shop around and I like to be able to buy used books when I can. So like there are lots of books that I don't buy immediately even when I want to read them. And there's a couple here that I've been looking for a while for good copies, for discounted copies, for used copies. And I found some. First, here is Blindside by Peter Watts. These are all kind of sci-fi horror-y. This one is what I'm thinking is kind of a modern classic of science fiction. This is Blindside by Peter Watts. And this is about oh my god. This is my cat's being obnoxious. Everything's going wrong today. This is about an alien invasion. The synopsis kind of reminds me of the movie Arrival, where there's not something on our planet yet, but there are things surrounding our planet, like spaceships in our orbit, and the Earth sends Earthlings up there, like a biologist, a linguist, a pacifist warrior. Whoa, okay. A vampire resurrected by voodoo paleontologists. Okay, so this seems like this definitely takes place in the future. Also, the biologist is a cyborg. So that immediately makes it more interesting than even I figured it would be. I don't think I've watched a lot of alien invasion movies, but I haven't really read any alien invasion books. And I'm excited to get to this. Like I said, I've been looking for a good copy for a while. This is apparently a Tor Essentials copy. Or edition, I mean. And it's pretty cool. Okay, next. Outpost by W. Michael Gear. This one is about this planet, I think, called Donovan. Or is it just an outpost? No, it's planet. And it's rich in resources. And people go there and discover that it's kind of like in turmoil. It seems like there's no leader. And this is like one of those books where there is a couple different perspectives that we're reading from, and they all are like vastly different. Like one is like a ship supervisor, one is somebody who lives on Donovan, the planet, and one who is a, quote, psychopath with a death sentence looming over his head. So I guess we'll see. Hopefully this is good. I can't remember, oh my gosh, I can't remember where I got this recommendation from. It very well could have been somebody on my channel, so if that was you, thank you so much. I know I've asked for space horror a couple times, and I started at one point making a list of recommendations I've gotten and who recommended it to me, but I didn't finish with that list. I only got through a couple videos. So if that was you, thank you so much. Let me know if you suggested to me this book so I can thank you properly. Next up is Semiosis by Sue Burke. This is one where Earthlings find some sort of life form. They're like trying to colonize another planet, and they find a life form that might colonize the humans. I don't know. Seems spooky, like space parasite-y, and I'm into it. Okay, next here is Relics by Tim Levin. I have 2 other books that Tim Levin has written and I haven't read them, so now I'm, you know, thinking that maybe I should do that before I buy more of his books and really figure out if I like his writing or not. But this seems like it's going to be a dark fantasy. It's about like this black market where there are things sold such as griffins, fairies, goblins, fantastical creatures, and then other like less nefarious things such as rhino horns and tiger bones. And there is a main character in this who has a missing fiance, and she is going to track him down. All right, next I got a couple books from Death's Head Press, which they really have very nice customer service. I only ordered 2 of these books. And then they sent me with a third one because the shipping was taking a little bit longer than expected, which was very kind because I didn't really think that shipping was taking longer than expected. But they sent me with a free book, so you know what? I'm just gonna say thank you and, you know, blow them up on here. But they also sent me this super cool Death's Head Moth patch. That's going on something for sure. So the books I got from Death's Head Press are The Magpie Coffin by Weil E. Young. This is one of their splatter western line that they've put out. This is the first one. This is about an outlaw named Salem Covington, which is such a cool name. Is it a he? I guess I don't know. Yes, he is nicknamed the Black Magpie, and he's an outlaw. I've never read a splatter western, but I did read kind of a weird western a couple years ago called Vermilion. That was by, oh, who was it? By Molly Tanzer, which I liked. So I'm excited to read more of this. I do like what I would equate to splatter western in movies. I like that, like Bone Tomahawk. I also ended up picking up Cruel Summer by Wesley Southard. I can't really remember, I mean this is a really long synopsis so I don't want to read the whole thing, but I'm pretty sure that this is about a mother and son and like an abusive boyfriend, I believe. But then the end of this says, gods never really stay dead, they only lie in wait. And when a beast as old as time discovers Hoyt, he too won't stay gone for long. Hoyt is the abusive boyfriend, stepfather, whoever he is. So I'm thinking that this will be creepy. I love the cover. There is some reason I picked it out. I don't know what's wrong with me. And then this is the one that was sent to me for free. This is Shallow Graves by Robert Essig and Jack Bantry, and this is a short story collection. It says, in this terrifying collection you'll find renegade filmmakers, masked maniacs, opportune thieves, and disturbed individuals. People you interact with every day who have dirty little secrets. Do you really know what your neighbors are up to? I don't. Just kidding. My neighbors are really cool, and I'm so glad that they're my neighbors. Okay, what's next? I have a couple true crime books here. I need to get to reading some of these. This is The Man with the Candy by Jack Olson. This is about Dean Coral, and you're asking, does this guy have the same last name as your first name? And I'm telling you, it sounds the same, but it is not. His last name is spelled C-O-R-L-L. That's not how I spell my name. Don't spell my name that way. That's not how it's spelled. So Dean Coral, it was truly a horrible, horrible being. I don't think we know truly the extent of how evil he was, how many boys and young men he murdered because he was shot and killed before he could be apprehended by the police. It's really a sad story because he chose, I don't know, it was just like he was, where he was at the time it was like the most opportune, the most perfect set of circumstances for somebody like Dean Coral to be, you know, operating. And it is really such a shame. He, like I said, targeted teenage boys, younger preteen boys, and he would sometimes force them to like write letters home and say, I'm running away, and then the police would just be like, well, they said they're running away, and like go off like bumbled to some other fucking crime scene to fuck up. And even after Dean Corll was killed and his teenaged, what did they call him? Assistants? I feel like that's not the word I'm looking for. His teenaged assailant? No. The boys he manipulated into helping him procure more boys to torture and kill. When they confess to everything, they only know what they know, obviously. They weren't working with Dean Corll the entire time Dean Corll's been murdering people. So they only knew of this one certain spot where Dean was burying bodies, and even that the police could not fucking get it right because they dug until it was like too sludgy, and then they were like, and like stopped. So like there are literally still bodies there in the place. And I don't know, I could go on about it for forever. It's really disappointing, and it just like, the lack of disrespect for these young boys who did not deserve to die. That's my rant about Dean Corll and the Houston police in, I don't know what year this was, in the 70s? Fuck, I don't know. That's this book. I also have Megala by Gerald Posner and John Ware. This I have heard is like one of the most complete histories of Yosef Mengele's life before, during, and after World War II. I found this really interesting in here. It says, "This is the definitive life story of Dr. Yosef Mengele, the notorious angel of death responsible for the death and mutilation of thousands of prisoners at Auschwitz." Mengele vanished into Southern America after World War II, where he remained free for more than 3 decades. So then there's like something down here that says, among their headline-making revelations that the authors made, obviously, conclusive proof that Mengele was aided by an extensive network of people who supplied him with passport, shelter, money, and diverted his pursuers. It's just so frustrating to look at our history, know that like, this kind of thing's happened before, and it's going to keep happening because money is more important than anything else. I don't know. I shouldn't have talked about these books. I'm just getting so worked up about it. Okay. Next here is Bad Blood by Richard M. Levine, a family murder in Marin County. And this set of murders is more commonly known as the barbecue murders. I'll let you figure out why. This is about like a teenage girl and her older boyfriend who murdered her adoptive parents. I'll let you look up the rest if you're interested. Next are 2 books that are in a series. This is The Descent by Jeff Long and the sequel Deeper by Jeff Long. I just finished The Descent. I have like a tiny little, very cocked and like bowed paperback of this, a mass market paperback, and I was like, you know what, I think I should get a hardcover of this because I like it. Like, I want Zach to read it too, and you know, hardcovers do kind of have a hardier lifespan, I think. I don't even know what to tell you about The Descent. It's such a gigantic plot, but basically, we as in people on this earth find these different spots all over the globe where there are these subterranean dwelling kind of humanoid creatures. It's like we have very common ancestors, but our genetic trees branched from, or genealogical trees branched out from there. So they're kind of human-like, also kind of not really. That's a very simple synopsis of this. Next, I have a copy of The Push by Ashley Audrain, which apparently is a Good Morning America book club pick. I didn't know that Good Morning America had a book club. I really don't give a shit. Everyone has a fucking book club these days. So this seems really interesting. It's labeled as a psychological drama, which I can get behind, and this is about a woman who has a daughter named Violet, and she really does not feel very connected to her daughter at all. And she is really convinced that something is wrong, but her partner does not believe her, of course, because I mean, would there be a story about it if they did? And that feeling is kind of like bolstered when she has another child who she feels very connected to and she thinks is acting like a normal child. And that's all I know about this. That's all I want to know. I do really love books about creepy children, books about children, books specifically about like mothers who think their children, there's something wrong with them, and like maybe they're being gaslit by other people around them. I'm gonna read this soon. I've really been looking forward to this one. I also picked up Once and Future Witches by Alex E. Harrow. This seems like a maybe like historical fiction fantasy with some horror elements in it, because this is about these three sisters who are part of the suffragette movement. So they are fighting for women's rights to vote. And while like trying to push forward this movement, they kind of discover this old way. They, you know, research this old way of things. What am I trying to say? Basically, it seems like they're going to turn this suffragette movement into like a witch movement, and it sounds really fun. It's really such a beautiful cover. I picked it up initially. I found this at Barnes & Noble. I picked this up because of the spine. I was like, oh, what's this? And man, it's just a really beautiful book. And it seems like it's going to have some nice writing in it. We'll see. I haven't read anything by Alex E. Harrow, but apparently she wrote also The 10,000 Doors of January, which I did see a lot when it came out. That one specifically didn't seem super interesting to me, but this one does. Next, this is Pet by Quake AMZ. This is a story, okay, the people in this book have the greatest names. So, the main character, her name is Jam, and she finds this thing called Pet, and Pet is a creature that fights monsters, which, you know, to Jam seems very strange because she's always been told that there are no more monsters. They don't have to worry about it anymore. But Pet is saying that Jam's friend, Redemption, has a monster in her house. And, oh my gosh, this sounds like the perfect kids movie. Man, I don't know. I'm just very excited to get to this. It has such a great cover. Next up, Red Sister by Mark Lawrence. This is the first book of the Ancestor book series. And this seems kind of like a pumped up version maybe of Nevernight almost, where there is this place where these girls are trained to be assassins. But I'm pretty sure this is a dark fantasy book. I mean, obviously these girls are assassins. The main character has a violent past and stuff like that. So I've wanted to pick this up for a long time. I'm pretty sure the series is just done with by now. So if you've read it, let me know how you liked it. Also, The Book of M by Peng Shepherd. This is a kind of an apocalyptic story where these people on Earth start to lose their shadows, and when this happens, they start to lose their memories, and when they lose their memories, they become they get this power, which it doesn't specify in the synopsis what this power is, but it seems like it's violent and like almost like they lose themselves kind of. So this story follows a couple, and the one of the people in the couple starts to lose her shadow and she runs away, and then her partner tries to find her. I've heard good things about this one. Okay, oh god, it's just so many books. So someone whose opinion in books, whose taste in books run very similar to mine, was like, hey listen, you gotta read The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. And I was like, you know what, I've heard that's really good. And then I tried to find it at Barnes & Noble, and they only had the second one. So like I looked for it on the internet, and I could buy this, you know, box set of all of them. So I decided to. I started The Blade Itself a little bit, and it follows a couple different points of view. And honestly, it seems like It reminds me of Gardens of the Moon by Steven Erikson, but not like totally inaccessible, and not like all the characters have very weird alliances that I don't understand, and you know, not everyone's trying to keep a secret from me and stuff like that. So if you like Gardens of the Moon, I'm thinking that you might like this as well, but I can't give you like a super great plot, just that it's a fantasy. There's a couple different characters that we're following, and I'm excited to see where it goes. There's one character in particular I find really interesting. He is an inquisitor, and he kind of learned the trade of torturing people for information because he himself was kept prisoner of war in like a past war that they had. And he's really spooky and sinister. I don't know. That's all I know about Blade itself so far. So last couple books here. 2 of these are from my Nightworms package this month. We had Later by Stephen King and The Sanatorium by Sarah Pierce. If you'd like a more in-depth look at that unboxing and the synopsis of these books, I will leave a link to that video. And then I have 2 here from Owl Crate. This one was actually from last month, but it didn't get here in time for my haul video. But this is The Gilded Ones by Namina Forna. This is about a young woman named Decca who is part of this village where they have this ceremony, and during the ceremony her blood, instead of being red, is gold, and like that's not good. So she can either stay in her village or leave to fight for the emperor and an army of these other people they call the Gilded Ones. And so, you know, that's what she's got to do. This edition of this book is so gorgeous. It has great colors. And then there was a book from this month called Sweet and Bitter Magic by Adrienne Tooley. It has spread edges, which is very lovely. I read the synopsis, but like I still don't know what to tell you about this. Tamsin is a witch, but she commits a magical sin, and she is exiled from her coven. The only way she can be able to love again is to steal love from others. And then there's another young woman here named Ren, who is a rare person who is made of magic, but unable to use it herself. So they team up together because there is a plague. That's all I know about this. Honestly, not sure how I feel about the synopsis, but like I haven't read it, so you know, I can't say shit about it yet. Thank you guys so much for watching. Holy cow, this was longer than I intended. But thanks for sticking around. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you've read any of these, because I always love to hear your opinions on whether you liked them or didn't. No spoilers though, of course, please. I really hate spoilers so bad. I will see you all later though. Keep an eye out for my next video. Goodbye.